Today, I'm delighted to have this golden opportunity to invite Stephen for sharing how foreigners view Chinese clothing in diversified perspective. First of all, let me introduce the fashion trend of China during Qing Dynasty. There are two major styles of fashion in China. During the Qing Dynasty, the first one is the Manchu tradition, the clothing. As you can see, that is originated from the Luzhen tradition. And the other is the Hanfu, which is inherited from the Ming Dynasty. So these are two photos.
Very much. Good.
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
As you can see that they have distinguished features in the cutting garment scale. So they have some different characteristics. So to start with, from your first impression, which one has more explicit workmanship based on the various clothing characteristics?
I think the workmanship probably a lot more goes into the second.
Yeah, the Hanfu.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the Hanfu. So from the Ming Dynasty, definitely I think there's a lot of craftsmanship here and a lot of woven skills. I think definitely would go into this second particular picture. Compared to the first, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, besides, what's your opinion regarding their practical usage, such as some convenience, durability, or compatibility, and which one do you think is better?
I think certainly the Manchu, the traditional clothing, the Manchu clothing. I think it's a bit more practical. Obviously, it doesn't look as heavy as the Hanfu, and I think it's there's more mobility you can have using a slightly lighter clothing than the Hanfu. So I'd probably go for Manchu traditional. As being a little bit more practical, perhaps everyday usage compared to the second option.
So, in terms of the aesthetic perspective, which clothing do you think may have a high popularity among the Chinese women for the Qing Dynasty?
That's an interesting question, isn't it? It's very hard to decipher, but certainly if you're going back in time, the Qing Dynasty, obviously it's quite a couple of centuries ago, but probably more likely I would probably go for the Manchu traditional, perhaps, as opposed to the Hanfu, but I could be wrong. But I'd certainly go for Manchu over Hanfu.
So can you tell me that as compared with your homeland, do you think that these clothing have some unique characteristics as compared with the Australian traditional clothing?
Yeah, absolutely. Australian traditional clothing, I don't know what you would say to that. There's a lot of casual clothes wear in Australia, but this is very customary. It goes back, centuries old, and very unique. I think both forms of dress are very, very unique, very, very different to how we dress back in Australia, but very, very much a contrast, certainly. But I think these two, particularly, they'd be also quite useful in exhibitions and various cultural exchanges. I think they'd be very purposeful in those particular aspects. Yes.
Last but not least, in the sense of the fashion trend, do you agree that this old-day clothing have already become obsolete, or do you think they can still survive in this modern-day China for the Chinese women?
I think certainly for fancy dress parties, for example. These will come certainly as a very popular option for those types of ceremonies or parties. But for everyday wear, perhaps not on a sort of social or casual nature, but certainly for exhibitions, parties, functions. I think they still have some purpose attached to them, particularly like governmental, maybe, or more cultural type of events. Certainly, I think they would have a lot of attributes in those particular activities or those particular functions.
That's all I wanted to ask. Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Very fast.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Leo.